Okay guys, so now we're going to learn about inheritance in Java. So let's just create an IntelliJ project that's going to house this all in. So let's call it inheritance. Oops. Add some sample code, press create. That'll create this project here, and we can open this like that. So now I'm going to demonstrate how inheritance is used in Java, why it's a thing, and why we should be using it. So obviously Java is an object-oriented language, as we've gone over in previous tutorials of this series. If you haven't seen them already, please go back and watch them. And essentially, one pillar of object-oriented programming is inheritance and polymorphism and things like that. And inheritance allows an object or class to inherit properties and methods from another class that we call it superclass. So a quick example, right? Let's say we have vehicle, right? Now, we have many different types of vehicle. So, you could have a lorry, you could have a car, you could have a truck, etc., etc., right? Now, debatably, a lorry and truck, same thing, so let's just say van, right? Now, all of these are vehicles, and they do share things in common, such as, they have a speed, they have a maximum speed, they have a mileage, and all this stuff. And to avoid repeated code, we might want to group them all into a section like vehicle, which has these base properties. So the base properties of a vehicle that all of these other things in the real world would share. Things like model, make, and these are fields. They might not be the same make, but obviously these are all just fields of that object, right? So model, make, mileage, and the make is kind of the brand, so I'll rename that to brand. Mileage, they all have a number plate, right? And they all have insurance, hopefully. If they don't have insurance, then someone's in a bit of trouble, aren't they? Now, obviously, the lorry will then have its own fields, right? So if I just create this for lorries, a lorry is going to have all of this stuff, but it's also going to have storage in the back, right? And it's also going to have other features of the lorry, like more wheels, right? So more wheels, etc., etc. It's just a real world example that I could think of on the spot. But these all share these attributes, and they have more by themselves because they're individually different things. So we can use inheritance to save time and to save a lot of duplicate code when we're coding up our objects. So let's just demonstrate this by creating a new Java class, which we've done a lot of already. We'll create a Java class called vehicle. Now this is what we're going to call the superclass. Sorry, not subclass. The superclass. And essentially, what this is going to do is it's going to store those base fields that we talked about previously. So for example, because we're going to create all our fields as private, create setters and getters. So we'll go private string brand. And you can add your own fields that you'd like here as well. Private string model, private int mileage, private boolean is in short, private, what else can we think of? Private string owner, right? Because they're all going to have owners, hopefully. And if they don't have an owner, or the owner isn't the correct owner, then that means it has been stolen. So we have our fields here. So base fields that would exist on every vehicle. So now here we're going to have a constructor. We'll have an empty one here. Vehicle. This we discussed in a previous tutorial. If you've not seen it already, please do go back to it. Now we're going to have our setters and getters here for these private fields. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, I'm going to have to write out the setters and getters for all these fields. So I have to do public string get blah, blah, blah. We don't. Now, we can use a feature within IntelliJ that will generate these setters and getters for us. Because they're all sort of the same and they're all quite boilerplate, we can generate these automatically. So here's how we do it. We go right click, and then go down to where it says generate, and then we click on that. So click generate. And you see all these options come up. We can generate a constructor if we want, a setter, or a getter and setter, or any of these other things, but we'll go over these later. But we want setters and getters for all these fields. So let's just click setter and getter. And now we see this weird window come up here. Now, you can see that IntelliJ is aware of this class, and it's aware of the different fields that we've created. Now, obviously, we have these getter templates and all this stuff. Leave that as default. And essentially, this screen here is allowing us to select which fields we want to generate these setters and getters for. So for example, if I only wanted the setter and getter for brand, I'd just select brand and go OK. Now you can see here that it's generated these two for us, which is the getter and the setter, just how we'd expect. But let's Control Z or Command Z out of that. We want to generate all of them in bulk. So we can go right click, generate, setters and getters, and then click on that and then go shift and select the very bottom one. And that will allow us to select all of them. So we're on the top one, and we go shift and select all. And then go OK. And you'll see all of these setters and getters be generated all for us. Look at that. See, that would take a bit of time to write out ourselves. So that is quite a nifty feature. And also we have our empty constructor here. We can apply the same principle for a constructor. So we can go full constructor, right? And we can go right click, generate. And obviously we know how this constructor works, constructor. And then we want to generate a constructor that takes in all the fields. So we'll go like this, shift, click, OK. And you'll see that we get the constructor for all the fields. And we can select individual fields if we want one with individual fields. So we might want a partial constructor, and we could go right click, generate constructor, and maybe we only take in the owner, and we can go OK, and that's just the owner, you see. So IntelliJ is really flexible. Most IDEs would support this, so it just streamlines our code creation a little bit. So we've got this beefy vehicle object here. Now we want other things to inherit this. So let's go to source, right click, new Java class, and we're going to create a car class. So we're going to go like car, and then enter. That will create us a car class. So now this car class is a subclass of vehicle. So how do we make it so that this is a subclass of vehicle? Well, here's what we do. So you see where we see public class car. We want to go between here and the curly brackets. So create a space here. And we want to type this, the keyword extends, which should appear as orange. And then the name of the class that this is a subclass of. Right? So let's say extends vehicle. Cool. So now what's happened is now automatically, just by doing this, the class car has inherited everything within this vehicle class. So how can we prove that? Well, let's go back to main, delete everything in the main method, make it empty, we'll create some space. Oops. We'll create some space. So now let's instantiate, let's create a car. And the reason why we're creating a car is because I want to see if it's inherited the fields of the vehicle. So let's go. So car, car equals new car. So that's using our empty constructor, which is, we only have an empty constructor here because we don't have anything in here. Now, let's try and set the values inside the car. So, let's go car dot and see what we come up with. Dot. Cool. So, we can see all these getters and all these setters. Set owner, set model, set mileage, get insured, is insured, get mileage, all this stuff. So clearly, if we control or command click on car, we go here. There's no fields in here, but we're able to inherit, if we press command or control click again, we're able to inherit all these fields from a different class and be able to access them and use them inside the car, which is really cool. So if we go car.set brand, I'm thinking, Ford, right? But now I'm going to go car.set model, and I'm going to go like Mustang. Wow, that's a good car. Car.set, so we're just going to fill up the object, right? Car.set owner is going to be Ben neighbor. Car.set insured. Obviously I'm insured, I'm a good driver. I'm going to go car.set. Is there anything we haven't got? Mileage. This is a brand new car. I've done 10 miles on it. Right, so now we've created a car that's filled up with values. With the vehicle inherited values from the vehicle in here, in a complete different class. And now let's just output some values. So let's go system dot out dot print ln, so for print line, and then semicolon at the end. And we'll go car, and then we use the getter, so we'll go dot get, I don't know, model. We press save, and then we go up here and then run it. Hopefully we will get Mustang. Cool, so now we're able to retrieve the values from this car object, just like how we would with a normal object, except for everything has been inherited from this super class or super object, which is pretty cool. So now let's try and print some more values just for fun. So let's copy that line and we'll replace get model with, I don't know, get something else, right? Get brand. We can go get owner as well, just to make sure, but it's all working fine. Cool. So now we're able to inherit these values, but now obviously the car might have its own unique values as well, right? So this car might have a few things that a van doesn't have, right? So let's try and create and come up with values that a car has that a lorry doesn't, or something like that, right? So values that are specific to a car. Because if they weren't specific to a car, then it'll obviously be in the vehicle here. So let's think, what makes a car different to another vehicle, right? Let's just think, well, what does a car actually have? A car might have a boot, for example, right? Obviously a lorry has space in the back, but a car might have a boot that you can put your stuff in, things like that. It might have more doors. It might have more seats. It might have a radio. It might have a television. I don't know many lorries or vans that have a television in. I mean, the Tesla Model S and Model X and Model Y has a TV in, so I guess you could count that. So let's just assume that a car has a radio, right? And a lorry doesn't. But even though in the real world it does, but let's just say it doesn't, right? So let's go private string radio. Obviously a radio is an abstract concept in real life, and that's not a string, but we're just trying to demonstrate the fact that we can have fields inherited and fields that's specific to this. And let's generate some stuff. So let's go generate constructor. We'll have an empty one. Where is it? Empty one. And look, you can see we have one related problem because we need to have a completely empty one. So if we go public car, right, that will get rid of that problem. So now we can initialize a car with a radio if we want, and then we'll generate some setters and getters for the radio. And now if we go up to main, we'll have no errors. But we'll notice that now on the car, go car dot, we can actually set a radio as well. So let's set a radio station like, I don't know, capital FM. If any of you guys are in the UK or in London, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Love a bit of capital FM. And now let's just log that out here. So we'll go car dot get radio. And if we run that, hopefully we'll see all of this stuff that we had previously plus capital FM. So that is how we can have a car extend upon a vehicle and have specific values for a car. And then we can initialize it, fill it up, and we can also create like a lorry as well, right? So let's go here and create a lorry. And obviously it's going to follow a very similar format to the car, but it's going to extend vehicle. And then we're going to have lorry fields here. And a lorry has storage, right? So private string. Well, let's just say private int storage tons, right? So it can store quite a lot. We'll create an empty constructor for the lorry. And we'll create setters and getters for storage items. And as you can see, these subclasses that extend upon a vehicle are really quite small and quite specific and focused on what the lorry has that a vehicle doesn't. And this is what we mean by abstraction and polymorphism, is that it really allows us to simplify down our code and clearly see what attributes are unique to what thing, right? So now below here, let's just make some space and create a lorry. We're basically going to do the same thing as we did here. So we're going to go like lorry equals new lorry. And then just like the car, we'll have access to all of the stuff on the vehicle, but we'll have access to storage tons, but we will not have access to the radio. So if we try and go get radio, you're going to see no suggestions and it's not available because the radio is only available on the car subclass. And this car subclass and this lorry subclass do not share values. They inherit off of this superclass here that's above them. So if we go lorry.set brand, actually, you know what? I'm just going to copy this and then paste it down here. But instead of car, we're going to say lorry for all of these, lorry. And this will be the same for all of them, apart from the radio, which we'll have to change with the value of the lorry, which is going to be the tons it can store. Right, so we can see that's an error. We're going to go set storage tons, and obviously that can't be a string, that has to be an integer, so let's just say 1,000,000 tons, like that. Then let's copy this, the output values, and we'll do the same thing, but we want to output the values of the lorry instead of the car. So this is just for demo purposes, obviously, but you guys can create your own objects of things in real life and see how this plays out. Obviously, we need to get the storage tons. So let's run this. And I actually forgot to print an empty line here. So we want to go print empty line to separate. So, and we want to go here and go system out print. Just print nothing. So if we bring this up a little bit, see all of it, we see all the stuff from the car, all the stuff from the lorry. Cool. So hopefully this has helped you guys understand a bit more about object-oriented programming in Java, as well as polymorphism and reusability and inheritance. If you guys have any questions, please comment down below. See you in the next one.